it's MK, and today I am helping Cityscrapper celebrate her 100 or 1,000 subscriber milestone. That is always so amazing once you reach that 1,000 mark and 2,000s and all those really cool milestones. So I chose two layouts to scrap lift today, and I'm actually going to merge them and make them into one layout. Now I have a whole bag full of random Halloween decorations from way over the years, you guys. I couldn't even tell you. Some of the stuff is from the 90s. Seriously. I also have a Brad pack from My Mind's Eye, and then this adorable stamp set by Close to My Heart. And then I pulled out some washi and Brads. Now, I have no idea where I'm going to go with this just yet. I pulled out these doilies yet again. I'm going to try to use them. I have some felt bats that I just thought were so adorable, but I'm not sure, again, if I'm going to use them. Pulled out these pink fresh stickers and my thickers that are called Mwahaha. I just really love saying that, you guys. Also pulled out my favorite mixed media, which is cheesecloth. I love adding cheesecloth to my layouts. Then I pulled out some Stampin' Up! Papers. This is all from the same collection, but I have no clue what color or what collection it is. And then this is a Cartabella paper that I believe, yes, it's Cartabella Trick or Treat by Stephen Duncan. Yep. Not that I know who that is or anything about that, but that's what it said. Also used my circle cutter, Creative Memories circle cutting system. And I already cut out my photos. And then I have a whole bunch of ink spray. So I have ground espresso oxide spray, a dilution spray in mushy peas, another dilution spray, which I think is something grape. Crushed grape, yes. And then two Altenew ones, Forest Glade and Lavender Fields. So those are the sprays that I will be using because I am going to actually stick pretty true to the mixed media and the layouts of Laura's layouts. Yes, that is exactly what I meant to say. So because the circles that Laura uses on her circular orange page, which will be my right page, they're kind of offset. And I wasn't sure if I was going to go ahead and just lay my photo on the circle or have my photo be a frame around or have the orange piece be a frame around my circle. And then I thought, you know what? I want it to be a frame because then I want to pop it up and give this page a ton of dimension. So I'm going to just go ahead and use my pencil to trace around the circle cutter because it wasn't giving me the exact circle I needed using the blades. So I went ahead and I just traced around it and it was perfect and cut it out. And I will be using that circle later. And then I did that to the other two circles, but it was very boring and I didn't want to watch it anymore. So I fast forwarded it to this part right here where I'm just cutting out a whole bunch of bats. Now, I really wanted to stick true to the orange and the green and the purples that Laura used in her layouts. And so, well, minus the brighter green for what is going to be my left page. I'm going to use the purple as well on that page. But I decided that I was going to use the bats, but then spray them the green. So they kind of match. And then, of course, I'm going to fussy cut out all those bats on that one piece. But right now, I'm going to work on my mixed media so that way things have time to dry. Now, I like to skip around on mixed media layouts so that way I can do this part, it can go dry. I can do a next part, it can go dry. Then I can come back to this layout, do one more thing, let it dry, go back to something else, let it dry. I mean, so on and so forth and blah, blah, blah. Well, I did not realize that my curtains weren't closed. And so you have this awful glare. I don't realize that until later, and my camera moved. So yeah, I'm a glary, crooked person right at the moment. And then of course I'm doing all these really cool stamping, and I don't care if my spider webs are going to be full blown because they're going to be behind the cheesecloth. Now, when I first start putting it behind the cheesecloth, it looks really, really cool until I add all the gesso. And then I thought, well, that was just a waste. You can't even tell that I did all this stamping, but I left it in here for you guys to see that I stamped on my layout. I used that stamp set. for the very first time. And it's probably, I don't know, 2019. Oh no, probably way older than that. It's an old stamp set. I'm just going to say that. Yeah, I buy stamps with no intention of using them until, years later. That's my motto. So here's where I gesso the entire page. And I thought that my gesso was going to lighten up and then I would see those stamped images, but no, it does not happen. So I have little bits of cheesecloth from a leftover project that I have no idea what it is. And I decided I'm going to add a little bit more dimension and just keep adding cheesecloth onto my layout until I'm happy with it. And now I'm moving on to the next page. I decided to kind of work them in singular individual pages. So that way I did not, I could brush the gesso all the way over edge to edge type thing, because I had no idea how big my mixed media was going to be or anything. So I thought, you know what, I'm just going to go ahead and cover up the whole thing. I am just using plain Jane white cardstock from Close to My Heart. There's nothing special about this cardstock except for the fact that it's my favorite. That's pretty special in itself. Also too, I was using a sponge brayer to put my gesso down. I love the fact that it just puts on a nice smooth coat. All right, so I decided that I'm going to rough up the edges of these circles, which is, it promoted a few problems because it was so skinny in some spots, but I promise you I was very careful. I didn't rip or anything like that. No accidents took place of this layout, just to let you know that. And then I decided that I didn't like the white edges, so I'm taking my black soot distress ink and I am going to ink up all those edges. I do that to everything, but again, it's very boring. I don't want you guys to watch that, so I did it all off camera. Now I'm going to go ahead and use my sprays as ink wells, and this works really well for the dilution one. In fact, I love how the dilution one is kind of like pinky in the center. It's not pinky, it's like fuchsia. I don't know. It dries different in the center where it's thinner than it does on the edges where it's thicker. I don't know how to explain it. It's a dilutions thing. I'm not really sure. And then the lighter pink that I really wanted to put like almost all over my layout was not painting as nice. And so I had to get a bigger brush and like totally soak everything in it. And then just make it like go. It wasn't working. And same with the oxide ink that I chose, which I think is frayed burlap or something. I'm not really sure. I don't know. I said it at the beginning. Oh, ground espresso. That's what it is. I said it at the beginning and I forgot already. Yep. It's already been too long. Anyways, it just was not working. And so I was getting frustrated because I could not spread the ink. And when I tried to spray it, it went everywhere and I just was getting massively disappointed. As you can see, I tried to wipe it up with a wipey because, hey, it's gesso. It didn't work either. It made a muddy mess. So you know what? I am going to mix them together using gesso. And at first, I really like how it's blending. And I thought, oh, yay, it's working really well. And then I'm going to go ahead and, whiten up my white spots with my brayer again. That works really well as well. But when I go to do the other page, it doesn't work as well. And I'm like, what? How come it's working on one side and not on the other? I don't know. Also, when I was doing my stamping on top of the cheesecloth, I dropped my ink pad in the middle of both of my layouts. So right there, smack dab in the middle, I've got something. But you know what? I'm going to ignore it. I'm going with it. It's okay. It is a-okay. You can see it here, but when I actually start adding things to the layout, it kind of disappears all on its own, and I didn't do a darn thing to make it disappear. I did rub it over with gesso just to kind of get it to go away a little bit, but I kind of didn't want it to completely disappear. I wasn't going to smother this whole page in gesso just to get that dots to go away. Now here I have two photos that I did not show you in the beginning that were going to go on my left, all you saw was the 3, is because I didn't have permission yet that if they could be on YouTube or not. This is my husband's best friend from high school and her husband, and then their 3 children and my 4 children, as well as me sitting next to or standing next to the Headless Horseman. Well, I took those photos away because I didn't realize the camera was turned on. Seriously, I don't pay attention to anything anymore. I didn't know the camera was turned on when I was trying to get orientation. And so I cut these circles in representation of the photos in case she says no, right? So that's the whole purpose of this part right here. I left it in because it actually worked really well in my favor, because that orange circle was larger than the photo and it gave another orange ring around that photo of the 2 of them, which brought that orange over to the other page because I didn't bring any orange. I had no intention of bringing any orange, which, if I was thinking correctly, I should have made more frames. Yes, I should have. But in the end, I did get permission to use the photos, which, thank you so much. I appreciate that. For sure. And now I am tired of holding these down because of the cheesecloth. The glue takes a little bit longer, so I'm pulling out my magnets. Yes, that's what I did. I pulled out my magnets, and now I am using the magnetic force of my craft messy mat, the technical terms, to help me hold those photos down while I just keep going with the layout. And I'm going to do that with the circles as well, because it does not take a whole lot of pressure or time for this glue, this Nuvo Deluxe adhesive, to dry. I just didn't want to have to hold it down so it didn't curl up, if that makes sense. So once the glue starts drying, and if it's not adhered to anything, it makes your paper curl for some weird reason. I don't know why. I'm not a glue expert. I wish I was, though, because then it would be like fantastic to figure out how all this stuff works, but I'm not. So anyways, the magnets help a lot to help me be able to continue on instead of just, count and get frustrated that this is so slow because I had to hold all of those rings down, circles down. So now I'm going to take all these little swirly magigs, I don't know, flourishes, I have no idea what they're called, and I'm going to try to put them around my layout in a way that it doesn't look like, well, I don't know. It just, I wanted them to look like they were splashing out behind all these circles. I didn't want them to, be symmetrical, I guess, is what I'm trying to say. And the reason I'm trying to do this is because I have rub-ons, but I don't have enough for both pages. So I thought, well, I will use these stickers on one side, and I'll use the rub-ons on the other side. And so I was like, oh, well, I'm a genius. That's awesome. Not really, but I did kind of do a little happy dance because it did end up working. And they do kind of sort of go together. So now I'm going to go ahead and add the title, which is Happy Haunting. But I couldn't decide. And because of the cheesecloth, I have to use the liquid glue and my magnets again, which is fine. Not a big deal. But I didn't realize that my layout, it's not straight on my messy mat. And because it's not straight, I assume it's straight because it's in front of me, if that makes any sense. And so when I lay the first portion down and then I get to the happy, it doesn't look straight. And so it's kind of like one of those things, did I put that on straight? Is it okay if it's not? I just wasn't really sure about the title because of the fact that it wasn't straight on my messy mat. But I did off camera go ahead and put foam adhesives on top of the rings, and I am putting them on the layout over the photos. However, I don't need to add extra adhesive except for the fun foam that I put on back because of the fact that it's very strong adhesive and it worked beautifully. So by this time I heard from my friend and she said, of course you can use those photos. That would be awesome. So I went ahead and I added the photos to it. And like I said, I kind of did a little happy dance because I unintentionally added orange over into the other layout without realizing that I never intended to add any orange. So I was like, yay, they do kind of go together. It's kind of fun. I just was really in the mood to do another Halloween layout, especially when I saw Laura's and I couldn't decide which one I wanted. And so I thought, you know what, I'm just going to use both. Yay. So here are those bats that I fussy cut out from that Stampin' Up! Paper, and I am just scattering them all over both sides. I'm going to use 3 large layouts, and eventually I'm going to use all of the smaller bats. And I don't end up using the cutesy little felt bats because that's not the kind of layout that this one is. Now for the bats, to kind of make them look a little bit 3-dimensional, I'm curling up their wings towards me, and then I'm using my fingers underneath them next to the body to curl them back down. So they go down and then up on the tips. It's kind of hard to see, and I thought that I thought I was in camera enough for you guys to see what I'm doing, but it just looks like I'm ripping the paper, honestly. But yes, I am using my thumbnails and my fingernails to curl the paper up and curl the paper down. So that way it kind of looks like they're flapping in the wind. Now I do this with butterflies as well, but I don't do it twice like I did with the bats. I actually did it on the, for the butterflies, I just flap their wings underneath. So that way it looks like it gives them some puffy dimension. Going through the brads to see whether or not I wanted to add any, and I picked out a couple, as well as one of these ginormous gems. They're huge, but from close to my heart, long time ago. Oh, I used 2. Huh, that's awesome. Surprise! And then, of course, I knew I wanted to use some of these brads by My Mind's Eye, and they are super old too. I can't remember what collection they came from, but I'm constantly finding like brad packs like this that I have had in my stash for a while, and they aren't with my collections that I have, my categories, I should say, which I find is weird. Now, these are Karen Foster little like bricks. Oh my gosh, they are like clay title blocks. I'm not really sure what they're called. I lost the packaging many moons ago, and I thought it was really cool that they, like Happy Haunting Ghouls was the rest of the title. And then over on the other side, I'm going to do a subtitle that says Tricks, Eek, Treat. So it was kind of like tricks. And then instead of it saying or treat or treats, like they're asking for treats, and then it ends up being a trick. I don't know how to say it, you guys. It's tricks. Eek. Nope, it was a treat. Is kind of how I was reading it in my brain. I just really liked it, in all honesty. And these were the rub-ons that I was talking about. Now, these are from Echo Park many, many moons ago. I just picked them up. I have no intention of using orange spiders, like, at all. I do have to tell you guys, though, speaking of spiders, I was stamping that one spider, and I was so deathly afraid of it. I know, it's an image of a spider that I was shaking the whole time I was stamping it. I forgot to tell you guys that, but I'm sharing that with you guys now. I really was afraid of that silly little stamped spider. Unbelievable. I just couldn't believe it. Anyways, moving on. This one huge spiderweb dealio thing was perfect, and it fit around my photo. And it just fit perfectly with the mixed media that, I definitely didn't plan. How do you plan mixed media? Anyways, I did have to rub a little bit harder than I intended to because I'm trying to get all of these rub-ons into the cheesecloth, and some of it kind of like disconnects from other pieces, and I apologize if you guys can hear my dogs bark. The kids think that they that they want outside, and really they know it's feeding time, and so when they put them outside and shut the door on them, they bark ferociously like this isn't what we wanted, and the children don't bring them back in. Like they sit there and ignore them, not it. Until I end up going and opening it for them, but I'm doing a voiceover. I can't do that. So anyways, adding a few rub-ons over on the other side as well. I think I only add the one rub-on, and I wanted to kind of accent or finish off the title by adding this kind of circular webbish rub-on. And like I said, because of the cheesecloth and the dimension of all this mixed media, they aren't perfect. They are definitely broken because of just the fact that I had to move it, put it back, move it, put it back, and make sure that it was all rubbed on. So I am spreading out all of my brads now. Good grief. There is a ton of stuff going on this layout, and I was just so stoked with how it turned out. Honestly, I just couldn't believe how amazing these layouts turned out, if you guys don't mind me saying so. I hate sounding like I have a big head and I know my stuff is the best. It's not, seriously. When I do a layout that makes me giddy, I just am like, wow, that turned out awesome. And I kind of want to say it out loud. So I just did. Also, too, I believe these two layouts were a part of a hop that Laura was involved in when she created these layouts. And I first kind of recognized the one with the orange circles, but then again, I didn't. And so I was like, oh. When I found out that what it was, it was weird, if that makes sense. It was like, oh, I couldn't even see that was that was that sketch. And then the other one was a mixed media frenzy that we just did a few Fridays ago. And again, I was in awe at the fact that I didn't recognize it. And so for mine, I kind of made it into an L shape, not to, so it doesn't look like a layout I just created, but also because I kind of am bringing in a second photo and I wanted that curve around the title rather than the title just sticking out in plain Jane Eyre. Also adding some white splatters. I believe this is the last little bit that I'm doing. I added the white splatters because I kind of love the fact that when you reignite or re-wet Dylusions ink, you get another color. And so when I add a white to this Dylusions, it is a gorgeous purple color that is added to it. Plus, I think it helps tone a little bit of it down. I just honestly love the messiness of this entire layout. So here it is. This is it. Be sure to check out everyone else that is helping Laura, who is Cityscrappers here on YouTube, celebrate this amazing milestone. Like I said, when you reach 1,000 subscribers, it just feels so good, you guys. For one, it's all of you. It's all of you that wants to either learn from us or likes our style of scrapbooking. It's just amazing knowing that many people want to watch us. 1,000 people are a lot of people, and it just blows my mind. I'm sure it blows Laura's mind that we finally got there and it's I don't know, you guys, it's breathtaking, in all honesty. And so I'm super proud of Laura. Her stuff is just amazing and she just, all the detail in all of her layouts is phenomenal. If you guys don't subscribe, go check out a video. I promise, I usually don't sit here and tell everyone to go check out somebody that I don't watch myself. So go check her out, see what you like, and give her a like or give her a follow, okay? All right. Thank you so much.